Matt Clark here at the new Matt Clark. How are each and every one of you doing on this amazing Thursday? I'm doing great. My girl's doing great. My family's doing great. I hope each and every one of you are doing great, even though we're currently in another lockdown and it's BS. If you could please hit that like button, if you could please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification button so you get all my videos when they're new. If you could share with somebody on social media, help spread the message, help spread the word, that would be amazing. And there's a PayPal option if you'd like to donate, help support the channel. The link is in the description of all of my videos. So today, we're going back to Lindsay. And I know I preach about prison is a dangerous place. People don't really care about you. And at the end of the day, you can only really count on yourself. And this story exemplifies that. I was actually listening to something today and it reminded me of this story, which was in Lindsay, like 2003. These guys, father and son, came on the block. Both of these dudes clearly involved. Okay, they're clearly packing. So they came on the block. They look bozzled all the time. So we say to these guys, we're like, bro, why you guys look so baked all the time? Like, what are you guys holding out on? It turns out these guys had a whole bunch of hash that they had deep stashed, and they were just eating it because they didn't have a light. They didn't want to bother anybody for a light because they didn't want to have to share. And they were just literally trying to keep it all to themselves. And anybody who knows how that works in prison, it's not how it works. So immediately we started getting cheese. We started feeling disrespected. Like, how's this guy gonna come on the block and move like that? So me and a couple of my homies decided that we were gonna run up in there. And I'm not proud of it now. It was something that I did back then and I would not do these days. But that's what was happening. We weren't just gonna accept this guy living on the block and not showing love. So two of my homies went in the cell and said, yo, bro, listen, you're either gonna break everybody off or it's a problem. You don't have to, we're not trying to get everything from you. But at the end of the day, you can't live here and show no love and just walk around Basel. It's not happening. And I guess they're in there just trying to talk this guy into it, Finally, I walked into the cell. I said, bro, he just jumped off the bed like, what? I'm gonna flush it. We already know the outcome. He ended up getting cooked by me and two of my homies. And that was actually where one of my best homies to this day, I met him. And it was on the same block where I got pressed by two dudes for a fed. Two big old pen timers literally came at me for a fed on the same block. And this dude was riding for me and was my homie ever since. And on that day, he rode for me again. And we got the hash. Now, like I said, we didn't take all of it. It's not what we were trying to do. We were just demanding respect. The funny thing is, when this guy was getting cooked, I'm telling you, getting smashed, wham, 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 just getting beat up. His dad is on the tier like this, just watching as his kid's getting jumped. Now, I'm not proud, like I said, of that behavior. That was the old me. I'm not about that these days. I don't believe in it. I don't stand for it. Somebody brings something in, they should be able to hold on to what they want. But his situation was a little different because he was being straight up disrespectful. He felt like he could come in there, do what he want. He had his dad to back him up, and he had no problems. The funny thing is, like I always say, fear in prison changes people. People will talk, yo, dog, anything happens, you already know I'm riding. You already know, playa. But when knives come out, or when 2, 3, 4, 5 people roll up on you, the attitude totally changes. That toughness turns to softness. That bad boy turns to a waste man. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, you just can't move like these guys thought they can move. And it was sad. I'm sure there was major problems in that household after. Imagine being in prison, getting jumped while your pops is just standing there watching you getting cooked, and then afterwards says to you, just give it to them. You're not going to be cheesed? I mean, my dad ain't no gangster, so I would never see him in prison. But if any of my brothers, for instance, were in prison and ever stood there while I got jumped on a tier, I'm telling you, there's bigger problems with me. At the end of the day, I'm losing my life for my family. I don't care if I get shot. I don't care if I get stabbed. That's my family. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if somebody in my family got hurt, got killed because I didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? So, seeing how pitiful this father was, this so-called father, and I know it was a horrible thing what we were doing, but at the end of the day, we didn't kill him. We were just teaching him a lesson. It wasn't anything serious. We weren't beating the brakes off of him. We were just helping him understand that when you come to a place where you've never been before, and people have lived here for a long time, and you have good things, it's not a good idea to just rub it in their face and laugh about it. And I think he learned a very valuable lesson. Prison is a cold place. Your father may stand there and watch you get your ass kicked because of the fear coursing through his veins. Not everybody is cut out for that prison stuff. I'm telling you. And I'm not sitting here saying that I'm some hardcore or I'm some super thug or I'm the best fighter, because I am none of those things. But what I was prepared to do time, prepared to stand up for myself. And I knew being involved in the drug subculture or any kind of subculture when you're on the inside adds more risk to your safety during the time you're in prison. Whoever would have thought that it's a good idea to take ounces of hash into a jail and try to keep it to yourself is the stupidest human being ever. And honestly, for anybody else, I would feel bad, but for these two, I didn't, because these guys were clear criminals who understood prison. They understood enough to bring drugs in. They understood enough to hoop the dope in. So how can you do that and then just try to diss everybody on the block? Now, obviously they felt like they had two, we're riding together, don't worry, I got your back as long as you got my back, I'm good. But in prison, you can't rely on that. Like I said, if you're selling dope, you're selling cigarettes, you're selling brew, you're selling canteen, any of that stuff that, you know, is considered, I guess, subculture, you got to prepare to stand up for yourself. If you give somebody a bunch of canteen on the cuff and they say, you're not getting nothing, what are you going to do? You cannot accept that, because then the next guy's going to punk you, the next guy's going to punk you, the next guy's going to punk you. So it's the same thing in the weed game. If you're going to sell weed, you better be prepared to fight for that weed. And the fact of the matter is, these guys had way too much arrogance, way too much confidence, and for what reason, I have no idea. Maybe they just assumed that Lindsay Jail would be soft because it's out in the country and they just have free reign and they don't have nothing to worry about. Maybe they assumed that they could just keep it a secret and keep it to themselves. That is not how prison works. Everybody's paying attention to everything. You're not going to get nothing by anybody. You're not going to walk onto a block and get bozzled all day long and think nobody's going to notice. Sure, maybe you could go up on the block, have some dope hooped. Maybe you're going to the pen or something like that and you want to get it to the pen. Maybe it's not even yours. But you're not going to be smoking it. You're not going to be chiefing it in front of everybody, because you're clearly going to put yourself at risk of robbery. And it doesn't matter how gangster you are. And the reality is, in prison, you have no friends. And clearly, you can't rely on anybody. And if this story doesn't tell you that, I don't know what does. Because this father stood there and watched his son get beat up by 3 dudes for something that he was involved in and did nothing. Obviously, I share my stories with you guys so you guys don't have to go through these things yourselves. If I could snap my finger, nobody gets beat up in jail. Nobody has to go to jail at all. Nobody deals with addiction or PTSD or abuse, then that's what I do. But that's not a reality, especially in 2021. We know we're living in some crazy times. It just is what it is. We're kind of just out of control, and who knows what's going to happen. And hopefully my videos will help inspire people to do better so they don't have to go to prison during these times. During these times, you need to be out supporting your family, being there in case something bad happens. And right now in prison, you're just going to be left to die. You're going to be the least of anybody's worries. So if you can, stay out of prison, stay away from the crime, just get a job, do your thing, and it's just not the time to be locked up. It's just not. There's way too much going on out here for you to put yourself in such a vulnerable situation. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. You don't want to be locked up if something bad happens. Believe me, the Canadian government will keep the doors locked. I don't think they'll let anybody out. I think they'd come in and just peg everybody off if it came down to that. So who knows? But at the end of the day, the message of this video is, in prison, you can't rely on anybody, not even your father, to protect you. And if you go in there with a bad attitude, you go in there, get involved in the subculture, and you're not tough enough to defend what you're doing, then why are you doing it in the first place? You're just putting yourself at unnecessary risk. And that's exactly what these guys did. They came into the dog pen and thought that they would just bark everybody down and nobody be prepared to do anything. And that's exactly opposite of what happened. Like I said, I'm no gangster. I'm not any tough guy. But this guy was in the wrong. Love each and every one of you. The new Matt Clark. Actually, if you could please hit that like button, if you could please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification button so you get all my videos when they're new. If you could share with somebody on social media, help spread the message, help spread the word, that would be amazing. And there's a PayPal option if you'd like to donate, help support the channel. The link is in the description of all of my videos. Love each and every one of you. The new Matt Clark.